Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the new screensavers is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. The new Screensavers is brought to you by FreshBooks, the super simple cloud accounting and invoicing solution designed to help small business owners save time billing and get paid faster. Try it free at freshbooks.com/NSS. And by Braintree. If you're working on a mobile app and searching for a simple payment solution, check out Braintree. With one simple integration, you can offer your customers every way to pay, period. To learn more and for your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free, go to BraintreePayments.com/NSS. Coming up on today's show, it's Maker Faire weekend. The BattleBots are back, baby. Lady Ada builds a gamer girl, and Martin Sargent with a blast from the past.
Live from Petaluma, California, it's the new Screensaver.
Yeah! Welcome to the new Screensavers, episode 3 for Saturday, May 16th, 2015. Father Robert Ballecer, ladies and gentlemen. Your worst nightmare, a priest with a drone.
Yes. It's what we use for eternal damnation.
We call him the
you.
Quad Father, but wait a minute, there's something wrong. I got to get this fixed here. You can't do the Screensavers in plain old black. My friend, I've got to get you dressed up here with an official Screensavers garb.
And by the way, this is sanctioned by the Catholic Church. As long as I have this collar.
It's okay. You look like a Hawaiian priest. That's good. I like it.
We can do this.
We can do this.
This is a good look. All right.
Hey, we're going to have a great time today. This is Maker Faire weekend. The Maker Faire, which is an annual event, will be coming to San Mateo this weekend, right?
Absolutely.
And so we've got some makers in-house. You're a big maker.
Well, you know, compared to some of the people who are at Maker Faire, I consider myself an amateur, but I do enjoy. I like tinkering, and it came from the spirit of Maker Faire.
That's one of the great things about, though, the whole maker movement is anybody can do it. It's fun. There's no judgment on you. It's just making cool stuff happen.
There's people there who make cardboard robots, and there are people there who make monster trucks that can roll over cars. So anything in between, that's making.
We got a couple of news stories. We have a very jam-packed show for you. This might be the longest new Screensavers yet. We're going to try to get it all done here in 90 minutes. But starting with the top story of the week, which you scooped Steve Gibson. I don't like that.
Never happens. Those security stories always come out at the start of the week because that's when people have time to work on it. This came out, was it Wednesday night, Thursday morning? And we actually got a chance to talk about it on This Week in Enterprise Tech with Steve Gibson.
It's called Venom. So what is Venom?
Venom is an attack. It's an exploit that takes advantage of a really old technology. You will remember this. I'll remember this. There's people in the audience who have no idea what I'm talking about. But do you remember a floppy disk drive?
I do. Does this require a floppy?
Well, no, but see, in a virtualized machine, you have virtual drivers. They don't actually connect to the hardware. There's a layer of abstraction. A lot of these VM operating systems include a virtual floppy disk driver.
Yeah, sure.
And unfortunately, it was poorly written. So if you actually had access to a VM, you could do a buffer overflow and potentially break out of your VM. So a VM is many machines running on one box, right?
Right.
You could break out of your machine and then move to the next one, or the next one, or the next one. And it got a lot of people freaked out. If you read any of the tech news, there were people from CNET and Engadget who were saying, this is worse than Heartbleed. It's the worst thing ever. It's going to end the internet.
It's got a worse name, I'll grant you that.
It's got a great name. It's for marketing, Venom is perfect.
That's the new thing. If you've got an exploit, give it a scary name and you're guaranteed to get coverage. We actually wanted to give Steve Gibson a chance to comment since this broke after Security Now, which we do on Wednesdays. Steve had this to say.
Okay, so
my feeling is this is one of those things that has a good name. And as a consequence of the fact that we gave it a good name, it's gotten a lot of traction. It's really overblown. There is no known exploit in the wild. This is just a vulnerability in a driver used by about half of the virtual machines systems that are deployed now that descend from the original QEMU VM, the quick emulator. It's a problem that was discovered in the emulation code of the floppy disk controller, such that if an application running in a VM with admin root privileges executed a certain sequence of floppy disk controller commands, it could implement a buffer overrun, which would cause essentially it to be able to run code in the hypervisor, which manages the VMs. So it would break out of the VM containment, and potentially the concern is that would allow it to have access to other virtual machines running in the same hardware. Again, no known proof of concept even exists for actually exploiting this. It's just a potential problem that was found in some of the virtual machine systems on the internet or in use in enterprise that may be connected to the internet. It's about 11 years old because the code has been around that long and only now it's been found. So I guess my sense is I'm glad that it got as much attention as it has because it needs to get fixed. And having this much hype around it means that those systems which are vulnerable to this exploit will get patched before anyone even has a chance to develop an exploit. And even in systems that are vulnerable, you still have to have something malicious running in the virtual machine that is somehow that gets itself into the virtual machine, and no one's even worried or explained how that happens. So it seems a little bit like a tempest in a teapot, despite the headlines, which I think have been really overblown in order just to, generate clickbait, essentially. This is nowhere near what Heartbleed or Shell Shock were, as has been said, but I'm glad it's going to get taken care of. Needs to get resolved, and then we can all go on with our business.
It just has a better name.
It really, it's just marketing. It sounds bad.
Here, I saved one for you. We each have our own now.
If this is really as bad as it seems, I don't know what I'm going to do. All of my files, my vital files, are saved on floppy disk.
Does anybody, I bet there's people watching, like Q, who did our little show open. Q, have you ever seen anything like this? Do you know what that is? You have any idea? None at all.
Nope.
What could that be? What could that be? I know I see it when it's the save icon. That's what it is.
This is 720. This is not even 1.4.
This is Lotus Jazz backup disc. Item 2 in our news, you picked this one, AT&T and DirecTV looking to merge, much like Time Warner and Comcast.
Absolutely. This has sort of been the week of mega mergers. We've heard about this consolidation. But what makes this unique is that it looks like Verizon and AOL is going to go through no trouble. AT&T and DirecTV are going to go through no trouble. And we just knocked down that Time Warner Comcast merger. So there are people who are saying, wait a minute, what's so different? Don't we want to stop these companies from coming together?
Not in this case. I think you've got two weaklings.
Right.
Look at the fact that Verizon is merging with AOL tells you something. The phone companies are realizing that Google and others are coming along to eat their lunch. Comcast, in fact, with its Xfinity Wi-Fi everywhere, is coming along to eat their lunch. They're worried. This is more trying to find a new business than anything else, I think.
And this is actually this is another reason why that Comcast Time Warner merger was such a bad idea, which is you can say that AT&T competes with Comcast or Time Warner or Cox. You could say that Verizon competes against them with their DSL, but really no. I mean, if you want decent bandwidth, you're gonna get cable. If you have the option to get cable, you're gonna get cable, which is absolutely what you say. The weaklings are coming together. So you've got Verizon absorbing AOL and all those 2.2 million dial-up subscribers.
Can you believe that? 2.2 million dial-up subscribers. That's
Speaking
crazy.
of floppies.
Hey, I got an AOL floppy just for you. Ooh, that holds the whole package, right?
I have a box of those tins that the floppies and the CDs used to come in. Those are great. They use them for storing documents.
I decorate the Christmas tree every year with AOL CDs. It's very special.
I never bought a floppy disk. I just used reformatted AOL disks. That's how I did it. But when you look at it, you're taking a couple of companies that do slightly different things. They're really not going to make it on their own, and so they're combining. And that's why this is going to go through, whereas Time Warner and Comcast got stopped. I'm especially interested in AT&T and DirecTV. This is a $50 billion deal. It's going to combine AT&T's 5 million subscribers for UVerse, along with DirecTV's 20 million subscribers. It's going to give them, along with Comcast, about 50% of the viewing public in the United States. And AT&T actually does do a decent job of getting service out to rural areas. And I think that's what the FCC and Congress is going to look at when they go and approve this. They're going to say, well, this is good, right? Because DirecTV is struggling. They'll stay around. AT&T has the cash. They'll build it out. Who knows? They may get to a point where they actually can compete with a Comcast or a Time Warner.
It's getting hard for me to care very much about these mergers. Yeah. Isn't it ironic, though, that we're saying Verizon and AT&T are kind of ho-hum old businesses? Things change so fast.
Well, do you remember when if you got 15 megabits per second, that was ungodly? Oh, my goodness, how could I do that? And of course, it was 384 up.
Right.
And now it's, well, unless you can offer me 50 and 50,
right,
upload, download, I'm not going to get excited.
Right. Hey, we got a call. You want one? You want to take one? You ready? I think this is one up your alley.
Let's do it.
It's time to play Help Me. Help me. We got Dan on the line. He's calling from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, home of the Stampede. Hello, Dan.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
What can we do for you today?
So I'm looking to, as I think most geeks are today, set up a smart home system. Want to get into some home automation, more than just lights and stuff, all sorts of different things. And during my research, I found that there's a ton of different systems out there. There's Wemo, Wink, Control4, SmartThings, Z-Wave, Zigbee, X10. I don't know which one I should use. I don't know what the pros and cons are, and I'm really looking for a system I can implement that's going to last me for a while. I'm not going to have to tear down and redo next year if we get into an HD, DVD, Blu-ray type of scenario with home automation.
You mentioned Z-Wave and Zigbee and SmartThings. One of these things is not like the other. SmartThings actually is kind of, and we should point out, as they're an advertiser.
They are an advertiser.
So take everything I say with a total grain of salt. But the idea of SmartThings is to solve that kind of Tower of Babel, where you have different protocols, nothing talks to it. So the idea of SmartThings is their hub talks to Z-Wave and Zigbee and a bunch of other things. Not everything. It doesn't talk to X10. I mean, I don't know of anything that talks to everything.
The community figured out a hack to talk to X10 devices, but it's really inelegant. I would not suggest it. It looks bad.
This has been going on forever. I remember going to Comdex and then later CES, going to the Home Automation Pavilion, and I would say, you know, two people across the aisle, you're going to talk to him? No. You're going to talk to him? No. Well, there's Crestron. I point to their windows because we're going to have Crestron windows that go up and down. Is there a solution that really works across the board?
Really, no. And Dan has absolutely pinpointed the problem, which is you might want the light fixtures from one company and the sensors from another company. And maybe you want those wonderful window shades from Crestron. You can't do it because they're all invested in you buying just their stuff. That's the whole idea of home automation. So we could look at a couple of the different technologies that are making waves. The first one is Z-Wave. That's the new kid on the block. That's the one that actually does mesh between devices.
That's cool.
Ideally, you could start installing this into your home and all the devices will talk to one another. It uses
mesh means it creates its own network, and if you're not near the access point, that's okay as long as you're near another Z-Wave device, you talk to it.
Precisely. And it's primarily used in home automation and security. That's what it was designed for. It's going to operate between 800 and 900 megahertz, depending on where you are located in the United States. So you're
That's good. Low frequencies, lower the frequency, the better.
Low frequency, low power, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the things about Z-Wave, though, it is still pretty new, so you're not going to see a lot of devices with it. You do see a lot of devices with Zigbee. That Zigbee's been around for more than a decade. But it's not just for home automation. I've got Zigbee devices built into my toys. No, so what you really want is you want that solution that's going to talk all the different languages. And right now, and again, as you mentioned, they are a sponsor, but I've had incredible luck with SmartThings. Their hub will talk to Zigbee. It will talk to Z-Wave. You can make it talk to X10. I would not suggest it because X10 is an outdated protocol. And then you can operate everything from a single pane of glass. And Leo, isn't that really what we want out of home automation, right? We want to be able to turn everything on and off from a phone rather than having to go to individual control
Well, I guess we got to
panels.
ask Dan. Had you looked at you said SmartThings was in the list.
I looked a little bit at SmartThings, but again, I just want to make sure that if I was getting something, it looked like where I was going to go, but I wanted to make sure that that's what you guys were going to recommend too, and it wouldn't be outdated by the time I got everything installed.
Go to smartthings.com. If you look at their product lineup, they have a list of what works with SmartThings. It includes most of the Z-Wave and Zigbee devices.
Yeah, I was noticing that as well, which makes it work with pretty much everything I want.
Yeah, and things like Hue lights, which don't work with anything. So I'm intrigued. I've played with it a little bit. I have Hue lights, I have Sonos, but I haven't done the whole. I want, Apple, when they showed the Apple Watch, you could see the garage door closing. I want that, and I think we're really not quite there yet.
Even with SmartThings, you can make it work with some of those other devices, but it is work. I mean, you have to make it go and find it. If you wanted the easiest solution to set up, what I would suggest is finding everything that has Z-Wave. Because if it has Z-Wave, it's been set up for home automation, which means it's probably going to play nice with everything else.
That's First Alert, that's Evolve, that's GE, that's Quickset, the locks, that's Leviton, it's Logitech's Harmony works. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry, that is not Z-Wave. I'll tell you what, get SmartThings for now.
Get it for now, yeah.
Keep your eyes open. I don't think there's a perfect solution yet, but that we'll be covering it the other thing to watch for Apple, probably at WWDC, is going to show its smart home stuff. Now, Apple's not going to be, I don't think Apple's going to sell the devices, but I think if Apple can come that's what you need. You need somebody as big as Apple.
You need a big
to say,
player.
Hey, we want to unify this all. Now, remember, SmartThings got bought by Samsung.
Right.
So that makes it a pretty big player, too. So, gosh, we got this continual battle here.
It feels like we've been doing this battle for the last 20 years. Every CES, there's home automation, and it's finally this year home automation grows up.
What's your dream, Dan? If you got it all working, what would be your dream scenario?
Well, it depends. I'm a podcaster myself,
I
and I
can
want
see
to
you have a fancy little setup here. Most of our callers don't have an arm on their microphone.
Yeah, it's what I can get by with. But what I want to start with is that when it's time to podcast, I want to close the windows behind me, turn on my on-air lights, and none of my roommates are making noise, and be able to change the lights behind me based on what I'm doing. And then from there, I want to expand it around the home to turn on the coffee maker in the morning, that sort of thing.
I want a podcast. I'm podcasting now button. Press the button and everything.
Dan just gave me an idea for a know-how episode.
What? A podcast button?
The podcast button. You turn it on, you press it, and everything changes.
Can you take one of those old staples? That was easy button and make that the podcast button. That's the project.
Well, Padre, if you do that episode, I'll be watching.
Dan, we thank you so much for calling in and being a part of the new Screensavers. Dan, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, thank you so much.
Thank you, Leo.
If you want to be on the show next week, we got a very special Martin Sargent episode. I don't know what questions you would ask Martin.
Ask for dating advice.
Yeah, sure. He's
that
the
works
king
really
of that,
well.
huh? Martin Sargent will be our guest next week, and here's how you can be on the show.
Need tech help? The new Screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
Hey everyone, Kevin Rose here with my app of the day. I have a confession. I only speak English, sadly. Maybe a little bit of Japanese and a little bit of Spanish in school, but I need an app that's going to teach me a new language. It's going to bring me up to speed and make me sound a little bit more sophisticated, to be honest. It is called Duolingo. So when I launched Duolingo, this is completely free. You can choose between Spanish, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Dutch, Irish, Danish. The list just keeps going on and on. It is really easy to use. And it's probably the best language learning app out there. And the bonus is that you don't have to pay anything for it. It's 100% free, available on the iPhone and Android.
Do you know why Duolingo is free?
No.
Neither do I.
Oh.
No, I do.
Well then.
It's a great story. The folks who did Recapture, remember, I think it was Carnegie Mellon, did Duolingo. The whole idea behind this is that they're going to make money because as you learn a language, eventually you'll be able to translate, and they'll give you small phrases from one language which you will translate into another, and that's how they're going to make money. It is just a wild idea, but it's been wildly successful.
I like it. It's the long con.
The Long Con. Okay.
I watched this thing last night.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Hey, we're going to talk to Limor Fried in just a second. Lady Ada. But first, a word to anybody who's in business for themselves, or maybe you have a small business or you're a freelancer. It's called FreshBooks, and it saved my life. I loved FreshBooks. You know the story by now. I used to go to Canada to do a call for help. Every month I'd go for a week, and then I'd have to get back, and I'd have to bill them not only for the time I spent there, but for my airfare, my hotel, the whole thing. And it was such a pain. The end of the month would come and I go, not again. I don't want to make an invoice. Open up Word, open up Excel. Fortunately, Amber MacArthur told me about a young startup in Toronto called FreshBooks. It saved my life. Immediately started invoicing with FreshBooks. Their multi-currency made it easy for me to bill in Canada. They have a FreshBooks app that I could use to capture and manage expenses. Literally, just take a picture of the receipts, get them into the invoice quick. They also, if you do time and hours, will track your hours on the app. It is so slick. And if you need help, don't worry. The FreshBooks support rock stars are fabulous. They are very knowledgeable, and they're there, ready to amaze you. They don't outsource it. It's right from the FreshBooks offices. I love them. FreshBooks, the super simple cloud accounting software. I started using it in 2004. Now more than 5 million people are using FreshBooks to save time billing and get paid faster. And man, you'll love it at tax time, because that report your accountant's going to say, and if you're your accountant, you're really going to love it. It's going to say, hey, this makes it so much easier. Try it today, totally free, 30 days, no obligation. FreshBooks.com/NSS. And when they ask you, how'd you hear about it, put NSS in there. That way they'll know you heard it on the new Screensavers. We thank them so much. I know it's always, I've mentioned this before on the show, risky to support a brand new show. You don't know what you're going to get. It turns out they got a great deal because we didn't charge them enough. So we'll be calling you. No, you got the price. But we didn't know. This show has been a massive success. I think our second most downloaded show of all time. And so FreshBooks, nice job. You got in on the deal, got in early.
Business savvy.
Yeah, business savvy. Hey, you know who I love? Have you ever bought anything from Adafruit?
Oh, only everything.
It's like this. As we celebrate Maker Faire weekend here in Northern California, you got to know about Adafruit. Whether it's a Raspberry Pi, whether it's an Arduino, whether it's kits and lights, they have everything. And it was started by Lady Ada, Limor Fried. She's on the line with us right now. It's so great to see you. Oh my God, Lady Ada. You're blinged out.
I'm totally fabulous today.
You are looking good. Did you make
thank you.
Did you
Thanks
make
for having
that?
me on the show.
Oh, we're so glad to have you back. We did a wonderful triangulation a couple of years back. Things
That's
are
right.
going well at Adafruit?
Absolutely. I'm actually here in our new factory. The last time I was on the show with you, it was a couple years ago. It was out of my apartment. But now we've actually moved out of my apartment, and I have a 50,000 square foot factory in Soho. So I'm actually kind of in the back of the factory here.
You could do a show there. You should do the Ask the Engineers from there. That's beautiful.
We do, yeah. This is actually the Ask an Engineer desk. We do a weekly show also where people basically, it's kind of like the Ask for Help thing, except it's an hour long and people ask engineering questions.
And the other thing I love about it is there are a lot of women at Adafruit, and it really shows young girls that you can be a geek. You can be blinged. You can look fabulous while you're doing it, but you can be a geek. And I think that's a great contribution.
Awesome.
Back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. I love, we do a lot of wearable electronics. Like I was wearing some a little bit
tiara.
minutes ago. And this tiara project is really a popular project with fathers and their daughters, especially during prom season. So they can make their own, or like birthdays, they'll make their own LED tiara. So this is like an Arduino powered tiara.
There's so much sexism in the industry. Sometimes we don't even think about it. Things like the Game Boy. Come on, girls play with Game Boys. Why should it be a Game Boy?
I'll make one better than that.
Okay.
So I have a demo. It's actually a project that we released just now, a couple days ago. Oh, it's blown up. Let me start up a game. But this is a, sorry, I have to learn how to use it. This is a little 3D printed DIY game girl, and it's a fully 3D printed case. And I have one that might show up a little bit better here. It's wood, and I can take it apart and show you. It's
wow, look at that. It's wood.
A Raspberry Pi, yeah, it's wood filament, and it's got a Raspberry Pi and a display and a battery and all these parts. So you can actually 3D print your own MAME and Nintendo emulator game girl.
So you
it's
can
a
actually play
project
better
different-
games on your Game Girl than I can play on my Game Boy. I'm stuck with Pokemon Gold. You got something. You could play real games.
Yeah, this actually has an SNES emulator on it, and it's got like Sega and actually a Scum VM. I don't know
It's
if
a
you
full
like.
name. It's a full
Yeah,
name
it's
machine.
got the whole thing. And
Wait, what's Scum VM? What does that do?
Oh, it's the old. Do you remember like Beneath the Steel Sky and those
Yeah.
point-and-click adventures?
Yeah.
They released a lot of those basically into the public domain, so you can download an emulator and play all those old games.
I love adventures. They don't have a Zork emulator on there, do they?
They do
might.
actually.
They do.
It's weird. It's one of the few things that came with it. There is actually a Zork Z machine on here as well. Although you'd have to plug in a keyboard, of course.
Yeah. Because you can't. I mean, how many times would you have to type A,
I know,
A,
like
B, B, B?
up, A, up, B. Like,
How much does that cost?
well, you have to build it yourself,
Yes.
so you can't buy it. To make it clear, it's like I think about $60 in parts. You grab a Raspberry Pi and the display and the battery and you like a speaker and stuff. But it's not just about like the money; it's about the experience. You learn so much about engineering and product manufacturing and how things are actually made,
Yes.
rather than just buying something off the shelf, which I think is valueless. It's priceless. It's worth everything in the
Absolutely.
world.
I agree 100%.
You know, Bryan and I have been fooling around with this idea of putting a main machine inside of a Game Boy case. Our original idea
You don't
was
have to.
Yeah, we
She
were just
did
going to
it
gut
already.
one of these, but no, 3D print yourself a beautiful device. I have to say, I go to DEF CON every year, and at the Hardware Hacking Village, there are always people with boxes of Adafruit devices, just sewing them into clothing, into the gadgets for the Hardware Hacking Village. It's actually a way of life.
But
Here's another project that you might like to build if you want to build emulators. We have the Cupcake.
Yes!
Software, but it's in a laser printed case. There's the Raspberry Pi.
oh my God.
Kind of see it. And it plays MAME games, and it's just like the most adorable little like joystick button thing. So this is a project you can also build. It's also about $100 in parts. We have it's a full kit, so you kind of buy it, put it together, and then find ROMs on the internet and put them on. So this is a fun project too, since you like emulators.
Oh, that is so cool. Are you at this point? Is Raspberry Pi kind of dominating the kind of the micro PC? What do you call those things? The little PC.
Like the micro platforms.
micro platforms.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of space, but definitely we see like Arduino and Raspberry Pi, and then what I think it is that people actually start young and they'll start with something like Little Bits or like
Right.
a simple electronics kit.
Right.
And then as they get older, they'll start playing with Mindstorms and Lego, and then maybe they'll pick up an Arduino. And then once they're like a little older and they're comfortable with Linux, they'll upgrade to a Raspberry Pi and program in Scratch, and then maybe in Python and C and C++. So what's really nice is that there's a full continuum for people to learn electronics and computer science. It's not just like, okay, everybody, here's pointers. You start with Scratch and like simple plug and play, and then you can work your way up. And then, by the time you actually go to MIT, you're like a full-blown engineer.
I love it. And I like it that it's spelled GRRL. Grrr.
Yeah, girl.
Girl. So people should go to adafruit.com if they want to find that kit, if they want to find the little gaming kit, if you want to. Friday is Pi Day, if you want to get a.
That's right. We actually have all of our tutorials are on learn.adafruit.com. We have 800 tutorials. If you click on the Learn button, like you see at the top, it'll take you to like hundreds of tutorials that you can
great.
pick and choose, like what projects do you want to build, starting from like wearables or Arduino or like 3D printing, like 3D print your own like ray gun or cosplay or anything you want. Just type in whatever, and we have tutorials for everything.
I love it. And of course, if you go to adafruit.com/ask, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, you can ask an engineer. And that's another great way, not only to get your questions answered, but to have fun and to get inspired by the great lady Ada.
Also, you guys will show up, of course, right? Next time?
I'll be there next time. You bet. I'll be in the chat room.
I'm in your chat, you'll hang out in mine.
Okay. Limor Fried, great to talk to you. Congratulations on the success.
Thank you so much.
So great.
Thanks,
Adafruit.com. Take care, Lady Ada.
Bye.
One of the key skills you need
Yes.
to all of this is coming up as we continue with the new screensavers.
If you're an aspiring maker, then at some point you're going to have to solder. And one of the most difficult things to solder are connectors, because this is where things will go wrong. You'll get cold solder joints, you'll get non-adhesion, you'll get voids, basically all the worst things about making. But I'm going to show you an easy way to solder both metal and plastic connectors. Any connection will start by stripping 4 to 10 millimeters of insulation from the end of your wire. Tin the lead by heating the wire until solder flows into the strands. The easiest way to attach metal connectors like these 3.5 millimeter bullets is by heating the bullets until you can flow solder inside the mounting cup. Quick tip, if you can't get heat to the surface, flow a little solder onto the end of your iron to act as a heat bridge. Fill the cup halfway with solder, then insert your pre-tin lead. Allow the solder on the leads to reflow, then remove heat and hold the wire in position until the solder cools. Always double-check your work, looking for empty mounting cups or obvious gaps between wires and solder. Once you're satisfied with your work, use heat shrink tubing to insulate the connectors, then repeat for the opposite end. Soldering plastic connectors like the XT60 is trickier than pure metal because too much heat will destroy the housing. I found that the easiest way to solder XT60 is to first plug the connector into its opposite to spread the heat and maintain alignment of the conductors. Now you need to be quick with your soldering. Insert your pre-stripped and tin lead into the cup, then apply heat to the wire, not the connector. When the solder in the pre-tin wire starts to flow, quickly apply solder to the wire and fill the cup. Never spend more than 8 seconds applying heat, and make sure to let the XT60 cool before soldering the other wire. Once your wires are attached, use heat shrink tubing to insulate the conductors. Above all else, practice. Practice, practice, practice. You don't need a lot of expensive equipment. In fact, I chose one of the cheapest irons I've got in my inventory, and I've got a 30-year-old pair of helping hands. It's not about the gear, it's about doing it over and over again. Take your time with practice, and soon enough, you'll be a maker.
Father Robert Ballecer. You know, I always got Yoshi to do my soldering. He was so good with the little tiny soldering. But do get those helping hands. Doesn't matter. The iron's less important than the helping hands. That makes a huge difference. Dr. Wiggs in our chat room said, I had a teacher who said, oh, forget the making stuff, just learn science and math. You know, I don't know if I agree. I think for some people, getting physical with it is a big part of it. You know, different strokes for different folks. Making, whether it's a computer program or a killer BattleBot. Wait a minute, what the heck? It's a killer BattleBot. Ladies and gentlemen, you may remember Ginsu from the BattleBots. They're back, baby. Joining us right now, Trey Roski. He's the CEO of BattleBots. Greg Munson, the president. And we talked, how many years? Almost, what? 99?
Yeah, like 99.
16 years ago
Long
when you
time
had
ago.
just started BattleBots.
Exactly.
And we showed some of the BattleBots. In fact, Tech TV and the later G4 did a lot of that. And it went on to big fame and glory in Vegas. And
Our first cybercast was with Tech TV.
I remember it very well, yeah. And you brought, there was a hammer and there was all sorts. But I do remember Ginsu. This is Ginsu, right?
This is Ginsu.
How old is Ginsu?
Ginsu's pretty old, huh, Trey?
She lost to Jay Leno in the finals. I remember that. The chin.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla were driving her, and yeah, they needed some practice.
Yeah.
I think if Trey would have been driving,
A
we
little
might have
more
taken
time
it.
and yeah.
Ginsu's actually one of the most famous robots out there. It was a
Really?
Happy Meal toy. And it's the only robot that
Wait a minute,
is so famous. This was
they
a Happy
made
Meal.
a McDonald's Happy Meal toy of this?
They did.
That's pretty
And
awesome.
it's the only robot that's never won a fight.
What?
It's never won one
The
fight.
chains always fall off.
She sucks. But she looks good.
She looks tough.
The idea is what's really matters, and this must be fun. So the BattleBots are back?
BattleBots are back, yeah.
Tell me about that.
ABC picked us up for 6 episodes starting June 21st.
Disney.
That's right on.
Disney, yeah.
Man, that's the big guy.
We're shooting the live show next Thursday,
In
Friday,
Vallejo,
and Saturday.
California.
In
We're going to
Vallejo.
go.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Lisa and I are going to bring Michael. Do you think a 12-year-old would enjoy BattleBots?
Absolutely. I mean, that is the perfect age to see it and like.
I could do that. Look, here is Ginsu in our perfectly appropriate back alley. Man, that alley was made for BattleBots. If you ever want to have a little back alley.
We could do some cockfighting
Yeah.
back there.
You know, for years, we would never allow Ginsu to go on and do anything unless it was in the battle box.
Why is that?
Well, because it's so dangerous. That thing could really hurt you.
It's a good thing there
But
were
your
no
alley
bumps
looked
back
safe
there.
enough. It had some.
I don't know. There's
Your
occasionally.
neighbor was kind of, there he is.
He comes out and says, "What are you
Kinda
doing?
Close the door and
Get inside quick, it's a BattleBot." So what is the chief power of Ginsu besides dropping its chains?
Slicing and dicing.
Yeah. Will those actually saw stuff?
They used to.
Yeah.
I mean, Ginsu's a vintage player.
It is
It's
a
vintage robot.
Yeah. In fact, the one I remember had 2 levels, right? There were 2 stories on them.
That's right. And there's about 4 different configurations of Ginsu. And ABC did not want us to show you the robots that are coming.
Yes.
So that's interesting, because one of the things I think made BattleBots, you needed a little more refinement. There was a lot of shoving into the corner.
Yeah,
so
our rule book used to be this big. We've dropped it down to hardly any pages.
Simpler.
So we're opening the door to lots of cool, more destructive
explosives?
weapons.
Fire?
Fire, definitely. Flamethrowers galore.
Yeah. Well, flame effects.
Yes. But we added a rule. We added a very important rule.
What's the rule?
And so before we had pusher bots and wedges,
Yeah.
the new rule says you have to have an active, robust.
Sorry, Jay Leno. No more of this
system.
chin
No more
stuff.
wedging.
No more wedgies. You actually have to fight. You have to do something.
A real weapon that actually can do damage.
Yeah.
And since battery technology has gotten so lighter,
interesting.
People can have 2 weapons, 3 weapons,
modular
weapons.
Did these used to be lead acid batteries? What did you have in? They did, like car batteries.
Correct.
Big, heavy,
that's like 40
pounds. Yeah. So now you can do lithium ion?
Exactly, yeah.
Of course, that means there's more explosive capability.
The fires are pretty spectacular.
Yeah, the last event we did in May in Miami, we had a fire every other fight.
Like not an unplanned fire.
Unplanned fire, yeah, batteries and all that kind of stuff. But it's all contained in the battle box.
Which is
nobody
fine,
gets hurt.
yeah.
Right.
It's very violent, but nobody gets hurt.
We're
going to
go. We're going to go. I'm really looking forward to it. So when can people see BattleBots return to television?
June 21st, ABC. I think it's 9
That's
p.m.
soon.
Very
That's
soon.
soon.
We have the post-production schedule is crazy.
Oh, man. Yeah, because they're fighting next week. So you only have a couple, 3 weeks to edit this down.
We just made a coupon code on the site. If you go to battlebots.com/tickets and enter TWITBOT.
TWITBOT.
Correct. You can get a free ticket as supplies last.
Quickly, so get 3. I see some of them are sold out. You said Friday morning would be a good time.
Friday morning is an excellent show because that will be the beginning of the Sweet 16 round, where you'll get to see 16 of the top qualifying bots.
How many start?
24.
24, and you whittle it down, and only one survives.
Only one survived. Yeah, no, we used to have 4 weight classes. Now it's 1 weight class, 1 hero champion at the end.
You guys, I'm so glad to see you again.
Great to see you. Yeah.
I was trying to find somewhere some pirated copy of your appearance on the old show, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know why. Maybe somebody's pulled them all down. But anyway, if anybody ever finds any of those, you can email me. I wouldn't mind showing it because it'd be fun to see the good old days. Trey Roski, Greg Munson, thanks for being here, and thanks for doing such a great job. And I cannot wait. ABC, June 21st, we'll be watching the return of the BattleBots. You don't know who's going to win yet because I
have an idea.
Oh, you have a favorite?
Well, we're betting. We got the odds.
You don't have a robot in the competition.
No.
You just, executives.
BS&P.
Yeah.
BS&P wouldn't like that.
You have some ideas.
Yeah, we've got some odds going.
Oh, remember this is for fun.
No wagering.
No wagering.
No wagering.
Please. Yeah. The BattleBots. Hey, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I want to thank also Braintree for putting this show on the air. Our sponsors make this show happen, and if you have the need for the products our sponsors offer, I want you to check it out. Braintree is an API for mobile developers. So if you've got an app and you would like to add mobile API, payments API to this, you got to go to BraintreePayments.com, BraintreePayments.com/NSS. There you go, NSS. I want to get that right. This is a place to find out about the V.0 SDK. Just a few lines of code will give you everything, not just PayPal and credit cards, Bitcoin, Apple Pay, of course Apple Pay, everything you could want. Your customers will love it. You will love it, especially because Braintree is going to give you your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free. So if you're a startup, this is like a great deal. So simple to integrate. It works with every language, PHP, Perl, Python, Node.js, JavaScript. It's drop-in, and it works. You can try it in the sandbox right now at BraintreePayments.com/NSS. See if it works for you. They have great support, too, if you have any trouble at all. You won't. Look at the companies that use Braintree. GitHub started from 0 with Braintree, and they've gone from your first dollar to your billionth dollar. Both Uber and Lyft use Braintree. That tells you something. Airbnb uses Braintree. Everybody uses Braintree. BraintreePayments.com/NSS. And don't forget your first $50,000 in payments in transactions fee-free at BraintreePayments.com/NSS. Let's continue on. Intel just had its big science fair. Do you know about this?
Yes, they're trying to promote the making spirit and sort of the innovation spirit among the youth of America. And they've had 3 winners, I believe. And their projects were amazing. Everything from having better quality air in a cabin to, well, stopping blowouts and oil leaks. It's a very interesting competition this year.
Let's take a look, because this is the grand prize winners for the Intel Science and Engineering Fair 2015. There he is, Karan Jarath. Hello, Karan.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me, what are you, a high school student?
Yes, I'm a senior.
Congratulations, a high school student. You won the Young Scientist Award. Tell me what your project was.
So I created a device for cleaning up oil spills in the subsea environment. And so it separates the 3 phases of the water, oil, and gas into homogeneous mixtures to where the oil and gas phases can then be recycled compared to being burnt.
Karan, one of the aspects of this project that absolutely fascinated me was you had to account for the formation of hydrates, a gas at incredibly low temperatures and a lot of pressure that can form while you're trying to do the separation, and it becomes very dangerous. How did you do that? What kind of research did you do in order to create a device like this?
So the software that I used, and through my mentor's guidance, I was able to get literature that was not published online that allowed me to do a lot of my research. And so I used a software called Stoner Pipeline Simulator. And through just trial and error, I was able to experiment with the device.
Did you have any experience with stuff like this before? I mean, had you studied this all along?
This is my 2nd year doing the project, so it was just research over the years.
How did you find this? I mean, I imagine that if you want to compete in this, you're searching for something that you can solve. How did you find this problem?
Just based off of research, and I plan on becoming a petroleum engineer, so this is something that I was very interested in, and just solving one of the issues that the industry faces today.
Yeah.
Karan, I have to ask, how much did the Deep Water Horizon play into this? When was that primarily your inspiration for creating this? Because that would have been perfect. This idea of rapidly containing and extracting oil from the water at depths before it makes a mess out of something like the Gulf.
Yeah, so the Deepwater Horizon spill was one of my main interests, or what I based the project off of. It was, so BP had a cofferdam that was implemented, and so it's sort of an alternative design to their cofferdam.
Yeah. I want to go back to hydrates, just because I saw a demonstration.
Because you understand them, apparently.
I love them. So methyl hydrates, I've seen them used as a brand new source of power, because you've got these this formation of solids that actually contain a lot of energy. But in your project, you had to account for them being dangerous. What's so dangerous about them when you're trying to recover petroleum from depth?
So in with these temperatures, what can happen is it can crystallize and essentially block or choke the outlet valves. And so to prevent that, you want to keep the device constantly heated to where it doesn't block any of the flow paths.
Right. So what's next? I mean, you've got a concept. Obviously, they're very impressed by it. You want a prize, you want a grant. Where do you take this? I mean,
has BP called you? That's what he's trying to ask.
Yes.
No, but I got accepted at the University of Texas at Austin for petroleum engineering. And so I'm hoping to take this project there and do more research with the different softwares that I'll now have access to.
That is good. Congratulations. Of course, you get a $50,000 prize, too. But more importantly, the recognition as one of the top young minds in the United States. That's got to feel really, really
well
good.
Done.
How big is Friendswood, Texas, where you go to high school?
It's not a very big town, actually.
So are you famous now in Friendswood? I mean, let me put it this way. Are you as popular as the quarterback of the football team?
I haven't gone back yet.
You can never go back. You're done with that. Move on with your life.
Hey, so you didn't graduate, though. You still have a year to go?
I'm a senior, so I have a couple more weeks before I
Couple
graduate.
more weeks. Congratulations. Yeah. And good luck at UT Austin. That's a great school. And I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot more from you. That's such a great story.
Thank you so much.
Well done, Karan.
Congratulations, young man.
Intel Foundation Young Scientist Award for a device that should allow, I'm going to read off the screen, an undersea oil well to rapidly and safely recover following a blowout like Deep Horizon. That is really, really impressive. Well done, and good luck. We've not heard the end of him yet. What is going on out here?
I think it's the graffiti days. That's probably
It's
a car
American
bursting into
Graffiti's
flames.
days. If you see any great old cars go by, just give us a holler. I rode my Segway here today because I knew we wouldn't be able to get in. That's a big old fire truck. Second one that's gone by, right?
Those cars weren't very safe.
I think they took Ginsu out, and maybe things didn't go so well. Ginsu versus a 56 Mustang.
Where is Ginsu?
I think it's trouble. I think it's trouble.
It's not us.
Holy moly. All right, what do we want to... You stole my cars. Oh, you have your own set.
I have my own set, but it's time for some help.
Is it time? Yeah. Help me! Is it Hook'em Horns? Is that who UT Austin is?
I try to stay away from Texas. That kind of scares me.
On the line with us right now from Richmond, Virginia, it's Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, guys, how's it going? Thank you so much for taking my question. I appreciate it.
I like the... Go ahead. I'm just going to interrupt you.
No,
I like
ahead, what you're gonna say.
I like the sepia tone. It really feels like you're on the old Netcam network.
Exactly. Well, it's the front-facing camera of my Note 4, so you're welcome.
Oh, we're on a phone, ladies and gentlemen.
Headphones.
That's awesome.
You're on a phone. You're on LTE, actually, so hopefully I stick around. But
no, it's working great, yeah. So what's the question?
Cool. All right. So I have this video iPod. I've had it for about 10 years. When I first got it, it was great, had all my tunes on it. Now it lives in my minivan. It's filled up with Dora the Explorer and Barney the Dinosaur, and plays videos for my kids in the back seat. This thing is about to die, and I connect it via this port to RCAs in the van. My van doesn't have HDMIs. What can I replace this with?
I think your Note 4, when you get the Note 5, just give them the Note 4 and you're set.
We're done.
5.7-inch screen. That's bigger than the... They're watching... How old are your kids?
I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. They're not watching. They're out. It was a good excuse to be on the show to get them out of the house for like 10 minutes.
But they're watching Dora the Explorer on a little tiny iPad.
Oh, no. I have it hooked up by RCA cable to a monitor in the back of the van.
Sweet.
Yep.
Well, Robert's got a solution.
Jeff,
it works great.
Do you mind if I give you an easy solution and then a maker solution? Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So first of all, I know that the newer iDevices don't have what you need. You need an RCA out, but they do have HDMI. Now, you could get something like this. This is a mini HDMI to AVI. We'll actually take an AVI source and push it out to that RCA that you might see.
That's not the only thing you're going to have to get. You're going to have to get a Lightning to HDMI. How do you get HDMI
Well, so you're going to need, whatever device you end up getting, you're going to need the dongle to get out to HDMI.
The dongle.
Right. But the nice thing about this is any device that has HDMI can now output to your van. It can now output to your standard RCA, which is what you see there.
How much is that?
This is $10.
I can't believe it, because this is a significant thing. It's not just a connector. This is analog. That's digital. It's got to have a D to A converter built
and
into
it's
there.
downsampling, and it does all the conversion
That's
for you.
amazing.
Which is nice. Now,
for $10,
you may want to do this because you probably have a lot invested in Dora the Explorer on iTunes, correct?
Yeah, about $50 worth. Yeah.
Okay. That's not too well. In that case.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I was thinking maybe like Amazon Fire, if I could put out the RCAs was the big hang-up. So that sort of solves my problem right there.
I don't know if does a Fire have HDMI out?
Actually, if you got the Fire Stick,
the Fire Stick
do that.
has everything you need.
There you go, and you've got a hotspot.
Like Fire tablet, but yeah, okay, cool.
You don't need the tablet because you're wasting money on a screen. You're going to send it to a screen. The Fire Stick is an HDMI stick that gives this Fire TV on that, but now you'd need then Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I have no internet in the car.
Yeah, that's obvious. Okay. Oh, really? What's wrong with you?
I had the same conversation with my son this morning. He said, "I want to watch YouTube." I said, "There's no internet in the car." He's like,
no internet in the car.
Now, Jeff, that's the easy solution, and we don't like doing things easy here at TWiT. This is a great way to do it if you want to use an off-the-shelf
Am I going to have trouble with HDCP on this?
No, this strips it out.
Oh, man.
I know, that's actually a really good thing to do.
Okay.
What you can do, if you find yourself an older Raspberry, which you can get inexpensively now, you'll notice that older Raspberries actually have a composite out. So this could go straight into your van. Now the cool thing about this is you can actually turn this, and you can get this. This is not the Raspberry 2.
$25, right?
$25, and you can get yourself a nice little media center that lives inside your van. Now
you're going to spend a little money on a micro SD card because you need media, but you'll plug that into your computer, copy Dora the Explorer onto the SD card.
And you're good to go.
And then this computer will play to your TV.
Brian, do you have the input of this? Because I actually have one of these running under the table right now. This is a little keyboard I got at CES. The nice thing about this is you can load this up with all of the media that you may have had, and it is a self-contained media center.
Oh, I think the kids would really enjoy this, Robert.
Yeah, and it's not just for videos. You could use this for games. Anything you can run on a Raspberry Pi, you'll be able to push through your van's entertainment system.
Wait a minute, what is that? That is bizarre. That's like a keyboard.
This is a freebie at
mouse.
CES.
This is like Bluetooth? Is it Bluetooth?
Well, no, it's got a little USB dongle. It's got a keyboard.
And it goes into the Raspberry Pi.
And then this is your mouse.
So Dad's sitting up front. He's controlling the videos there. And show us again the interface to that. Is that's basically XBMC for Raspberry
This
Pi?
is XBMC. So yeah, it's all it
Wow.
is it allows me to, I can use USB devices. I can put it on SD. If I had a network, it could connect to the
Does
network.
it boot right into that?
It boots straight into this. This is one of the easiest media centers you will ever see installed.
So much better than buying an iPod to do this or
yeah.
another iDevice.
And it's actually cheaper.
It's cheaper. It's $25 for a Raspberry, old Raspberry Pi. You
Old
don't want the new
Raspberry.
one because they don't have composite out anymore.
Correct.
So are they still selling the old Raspberry?
Oh yeah, there's still supplies.
I should
So
go to Adafruit and see.
So Jeff, it's up to you. You can go cheap or you can go maker.
And Maker's even
tough
cheaper.
Choice. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it. I just imagine like kids screaming in the back while I'm trying to like fiddle with a little keyboard.
I'm
like,
booting
it's okay,
Cody.
get this going.
I'm booting Cody. Shut up, kid.
I guess they really just want Dora the Explorer. They don't care if it's running
Daddy, I
Linux.
don't want to watch 3D printer
I just
videos.
want to press play and drive and have nice silence in the back for 10 minutes. That's
Yeah.
all I'm looking for. So, but it's both really good solutions. Thank you guys so much.
Hey, it's really good to talk to you. I love that, Jeff. You really brought out the geek in Father Robert here on that one. That's hysterical.
That's not hard to do.
I know. Thank you, Jeff. Great to talk to you.
All
Take
right,
care.
thanks, guys.
Hey, would you like to be on this show? Here's how.
Need tech help? The new screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
Hey everyone, I'm Daria Rose, author of Foodist and creator of the blog Summer Tomato. What I want to tell you is that one of the most important things you can do if you want to be healthy, look great, feel great, whatever your goals are, is to cook more at home. And the secret to cooking more at home is actually to not use recipes so much, because when you're dependent on recipes, it's too hard. So here's a little trick to get you eating healthy food at home. So get some vegetables, just any kind of vegetables, what's in season. Right now it's carrots, asparagus, peas, they're delicious. Chop them up, all about the same size, and mince 1 clove of garlic. To mince the garlic, just smash it with a knife and then cut it up really fast. Then turn on a pan, medium-high heat, and let it heat up till it gets warm. Throw some olive oil in there, about 1 to 2 tablespoons, but you don't have to measure it, it's not science. And then just throw those veggies in the pan. Stir them up, sprinkle a layer of salt on there, be generous, it tastes good, makes them taste better. And then when they start to stir them around and keep stirring them and keep them hot, then, and here's the secret to make them taste amazing, when they start to turn bright colors, I want you to take your spatula or whatever you're using and put a little hole in the middle of the pan, the veggies in the pan, and take your garlic and put it in there. Then take a little bit more olive oil and put it on and just let it simmer a little bit and cook for about 30 seconds. What'll happen is it'll get really, really fragrant and it'll start to smell really good. And what's happening is the garlic is infusing the oil. So then stir it all up with the rest of your food, let it cook another minute or two, take one little bite and taste it, adjust the salt if it needs more, and voila. It's delicious. You'll love it. Your kids will love it. Everybody will love it. Give it a try.
We did. That was me cooking.
I'm hungry.
It was really good. And thanks to Daria Rose. When Kevin and Daria were here last week, and we'll do this if you ever come on the show, we dragged them to the back room and we said, give us some tips. And they gave us some great tips. That was a lot of fun. Somebody in the chat room was saying, if I build this Raspberry Pi thing, do I have to have that 3D printer video on it?
No, that was just to show you that it can play anything. It can play DVDs.
What does this have to do with anything? It was just whatever was on your thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You press it on your Raspberry Pi. All right, it's time for a blast from the past. We've been doing this and having great fun. Ladies and gentlemen, from the past, now the present.
Oh my goodness.
Martin Sargent. Hey, Marty.
Hey, Leo?
No. Yes.
Oh, hey. Laporte. Leo Laporte.
Yes. Hey,
Oh, okay.
Martin Sargent.
I thought I was expecting a call from Leo Buscaglia.
No one knows who he is.
Not anymore. How you guys doing?
That's such an obscure joke. Marty, of course, was one of the greatest contributors to the Screensavers, the old show.
Oh, stop it.
I'll never forget, was it Mr. Scuzzy or Dr. Scuzzy?
Mr. Scuzzy. And yeah, that was a terrific segment. It was in order to explain the different types of Scuzzy cables, and I came out wearing an old trench coat and a hat, and I opened up the trench coat, and there's all these Scuzzy cables hanging from the inside of it, and I said, "So you want to buy a Scuzzy cable?"
You know, I had forgotten that,
silly.
or maybe it was I pushed it to the back of my
Father
mind.
Robert says, and I don't know if this is true, that he has seen every Screensavers episode ever.
I have.
And I've tried to stump him, and I have yet. But maybe now Mr. Scuzzy stumped you.
I think it was one of those repressed memories. It's now bubbling to the surface.
We made Marty, what we did early on with Marty is we'd make him learn everything there was to know about a particular technology, like Scuzzy, and then deliver it up. And you did elaborate, he was the first to do the chalkboard stuff. You know, elaborate drawings and explanations. It was always so much fun to have you on.
It was terrific. Yeah, we would do these kind of how it works segments where I would come on and explain, say, the difference between GSM, CDMA, and TDMA. And I would do these really quite elaborate drawings up on the chalkboard. And to hear me talk, it really sounded like I knew what I was talking about. But truth of the matter is, you know, it's kind of like being in a Shakespeare play. You don't know exactly what you're saying, but you can make it sound really good.
I know somebody's going to die, and it's sad. Where did you come from? How did we find Martin Sargent?
I came from PC Computing Magazine, which was also owned by Ziff Davis. And of course, this was back in the time of ZDTV. So in order to get guests for your shows, you would tap the magazines, PC Magazine, PC Computing, and we would come on and talk about the different articles that we were working on in the magazine. And I was really the only guy, one of the only editors at PC Computing who really loved coming on the show. And boy, did I love coming on the show. I mean, I knew from the first time that I was on there that, yeah, this was it, man. This is what I want to do. I got the bug. And yeah, I just wanted to come on more and more and more. And eventually, you hired me. I think I fooled you. I don't know. Did you know that I didn't know what I was talking about? Or
No,
did you think I did?
I didn't care because you were one of the funniest guys, and still are one of the funniest guys, except for the Leo Buscaglia stuff.
Yeah, that was a great way to start, wasn't it? Starting out strong, as they always did.
We had you towards the end of days do a great show called Unscrewed.
Oh, you hated that show.
Okay, I admit it. It wasn't for me, but it was a late night show.
It was a late night show. Father Robert, did you ever watch Unscrewed?
Let me just ask one thing. Do you still have the nudicles?
The nudicles hanging off my big diesel truck.
They're clacking today.
So apparently you did. Well, I'm sorry.
I watched everything. I watched. My personal favorite was anything that had Joey in it. Like for example, when you were
the intern. Now Joey, he really knew what he was talking about. He was a hardcore nerd. He was terrific. Joey the intern. We loved having him on. I miss Joey. That little bird. Where is he? Where did he fly away to? I wish he would call me up.
What happened to Laura Swisher? Do you ever hear from her?
Yeah, you know, she is actually working for the she's working for Comedy Central in New York, and the name is escaping me. The guy who replaced Stephen Colbert or Jon Stewart show.
Oh, the new Daily Show?
No. The guy who comes on after, Larry.
Nobody remembers his name either, so you're all right. I think it's Larry the Cable Guy.
The black guy. He hosts a show. It's really funny.
I remember him.
Yes.
Who could forget?
Larry
Wilmore. Larry Wilmore. Yeah.
Larry Wilmore.
She's working for Larry Wilmore. All right.
I'm gonna get an email now from Larry Wilmore.
He's cool. He'll understand.
It's terrific.
And then of course the highlight for me of being on Unscrewed was being in my underwear on Unscrewed.
Yep. Leo streaked the set of Unscrewed.
Well, streak's a bad word when you're talking about underwear. I wasn't naked.
Hey, listen, I got an eye full. Man. We did some sick stuff on that show. That was the worst. That was, man, wow.
I was already
was the
kind of
only
on my
time
way
I
out at the time, and I didn't give a damn about anything.
Unscrewed was one of the original Maker shows. I remember you had an inventor who had created adult diapers that would filter out offensive scents, and you had Joey try them on the show.
These are an actual product. and yeah, they have a charcoal filter in the underwear, and they're invented by this old man whose wife just apparently had a problem with gas.
Daddy, you stink.
And he did, you know, he felt bad. He wanted to sleep with his wife, but he didn't want to lay next to her, so he invented these charcoal filtered underpants.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. This is the kind of thing that we did on that show.
Yes. Yes. And then after Tech TV went to LA, what happened? Did you go down with them or?
Yeah, I was one of the 3 shows that went down there. And of course, we started working for G4. And that was really when television started to become not so much fun.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I loved every minute of it. I mean, really, I have nothing but fond memories of it. I was honored to be on television. I was honored that anyone who watched the thing. And I think in some ways I took it for granted because I thought that it would always continue, that my career would. And obviously, you know, after having about 10 different shows get canceled, it was fairly clear that that wasn't going to happen. But man, I miss it. And I'm working in advertising now, and it's just not quite the same. It's just not quite the same.
What are you a copywriter? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm a copywriter. My title is Associate Creative Director.
Oh.
So wait
a minute. You're like Don Draper. You're like.
This is what everyone thinks. Everyone thinks. This show Mad Men has been really great because people think that I have this really glamorous life. It's not anything like Mad Men. I promise you.
Do you have a bottle of scotch every day? Because that's all I remember from that show.
Well, that goes without saying. It's actually bourbon. But
and you married a wonderful woman. Molly is just the greatest, and we love her.
Stop it. Molly McDonald is the greatest.
Yeah.
She's in the other room. She's
hi,
blushing.
Molly. Yeah.
Everyone says hi, Molly. Leo loves you.
I do, and I love you, Marty. And you know what I want to do is I want to have you. Will you come up next week and host the show with me?
See, this is a terrible idea.
What?
I will do it, of course. The truth is, and I think we all know this, that it's a bad idea.
What could possibly go wrong, Marty?
Yes, I'm pretty excited. What could possibly go wrong? I think earlier in the show you said, what questions would possibly ask Martin Sargent? Well, that's what could go wrong.
We'll find some fun.
That's the problem.
We'll find
I'll figure
some
it out.
fun.
No, Father Robert, it's not gaming. There I am.
Wait a minute. Why?
Yes, this is the show I remember. Yeah.
Here, let me explain what I was playing here. I was playing that I had lost my mind. and I had been doing Tech TV for so long that I was just, you know how that happens sometimes?
Yes.
You got a guy, the producers have been propping him up. He doesn't know what he's been doing for years. He just wanders around in his underwear. And, hey, hello.
That actually happens around here a lot on Thursdays and Fridays. It's kind of sad.
It was a terrific segment. Thanks for doing it. I think our ratings spiked, actually.
Yeah, spiked down. Spiked down. Anyway, Marty, we'll see you next week. Martin Sargent is the co-host of the new Screensavers. Next week, we're going to have so much fun.
Can't wait, Leo.
Great
see you
to see
next
you.
week.
Martin
Sorry,
Sargent,
everyone.
He made us put Internet Heartthrob on his lower third. I'm not sure.
Is that what
that's that?
That wasn't my idea. That wasn't my idea. Come on.
Love you, Marty. See you later. See you
too.
soon.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Take
Great
care.
to talk to you.
Now, that was a blast from the past.
Isn't it great to see him? I didn't know, and in fact, I only learned last week that you actually were a fan and watched all those old shows. I had no idea.
That's where I started to get into content. It was watching Tech TV and saying, wow, people will actually watch this. This is fantastic.
I had no idea. Well, I'm glad that we could somehow bring you into the
And actually, I was a lot like Martin there in that I just started hanging out at the studio. You remember this. When I first got the Twit, I was just kind of hanging out, and then you said, hey, you should do some shows.
No.
That was me.
Actually, I think it was Tom Merritt discovered you, because didn't the old
call-in show.
TNT used to do a show where we would feature people from the chat room, and you were in there. But see, you had ulterior motives.
I did.
You sneakily were kind of trying to get it.
We were doing the Illuminati thing.
I saw you on there, and I was so impressed. And then I think you did a couple more things, and I said, why isn't Father Robert? What was going on there? Is that okay? I'm easily distracted.
It's a live set, folks.
You never know what's going to happen outside that window. So I said, why isn't Father Robert on more? And so we're thrilled to have you, and please thank the Pope for us.
And you invited me on Twit, and I sped up at like 90 miles an hour to get up here.
No,
so
you were great. You were great. We followed you, I think, all the way up here. Hey, it's time for our hot button of the week. And we're going to do this. We didn't do it last week. We're going to do this whenever there's a story that I think is worth kind of going back and forth on. And eventually, I think we're going to poll up and give you a chance to let us know what you think. But this spiked my imagination. I thought I'd mention it to you since it is Maker Faire Week. Google has announced that their autonomous vehicles now are ready to go out into the world. It will only be in Mountain View, where Google is headquartered. The self-driving cars will be out in public. They'll never go on the highway no more than 25 miles an hour. Actually, it's ironic because they're better on the highway than they are on local roads. Those are the cars that have no steering wheel, no brake, no accelerator. You get in them and they go. But in this case, they're going to put detachable, there's Kara Swisher trying it out with Liz Gaines. They're going to put a detachable steering wheel and accelerator and brake and have a human in there
just in case.
Well, you know what? You say just in case. I say just to reassure the humans that they aren't. But these things are really, I think, much, much safer than regular vehicles.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though, Leo. We know that, right? I mean, we all understand that a computer will make better decisions in driving than we will. It can think faster, it knows its surroundings better, and it's not going to make human error. But there's still that part in the back of my head that's thinking, well, if the computer's going to try to kill me, I want a way to take control back.
It's still scary, isn't it?
It's still scary.
We did find out that thanks to a California state law, they had to release collision information. There have been 4 accidents with the Google autonomous vehicles since September. All 4, 2 of them where the vehicle was driving itself, 2 of them where the human were driving. But Google says all 4 were caused by the other driver. Rear endings. In one case, they got T-boned. There were no injuries. They were all at very low speed. So accidents don't go away as long as there's some human drivers. There's going to be some human error.
But that also has me curious because, as you said, these aren't going to go on the highway. But self-driving vehicles are so much better on the highway. In fact, remember that 18-wheeler that was just licensed to drive autonomously in Nevada? The highway is filled with far fewer variables. You're all traveling in the same direction. You're all about the same speed. Whereas in city driving, people do stupid things, and that's what's going to cause the accident. Someone's going to cut in front of an autonomous vehicle.
It's not a magical vehicle. It still physics still apply. Okay, so we're not going to do a poll question, but if we were going to do a poll question, I think the question this week would be, would you buy and ride, I don't want to say drive, buy and ride in one of these Google vehicles, especially if it didn't have a steering wheel, brake, or accelerator? Would you do it?
I would, because I'm a geek.
You're a man of faith.
I'm a man of faith. I will just trust that whoever did that thing wasn't trying to mess me up. But I think there's a bigger question here, and that is, I would do it if everybody else does it.
Yeah, me too.
If I'm going to be on the road in an autonomous vehicle, I want the same logic governing all the vehicles on that road. I don't want that wild card, the drunk guy who's just going to barrel through an intersection, and the autonomous vehicle has no chance to react. I mean, that's the thing. That's right?
I would do it if my autonomous vehicle looked like this.
The Segway.
The vehicle, no, not the Segway. The Ginsu, the vehicle right behind you. Now I'd ride around in that. At least the other guys would be more cautious around me.
It would make going through traffic a lot easier.
I think there's the other issue, which is the ethical issue, and I don't know how we're going to resolve this, but since the car is making all decisions, would the car be programmed to minimize life loss even if it cost you your life?
This
For instance, let's say a school bus is hurtling at you. It's filled with school children. You could either, hit the bus or drive off a cliff, save the school children, but definitely lose your life. And would the car make the reasonable decision of killing you? And how do you feel about that?
And that's always been the hot button item anytime we talk about autonomous vehicles, which is once they actually do start talking to one another. So you have vehicle-to-vehicle communication. And let's say you have a blown tire. So that bus comes out into the middle of the road. Will the car say, well, I've got 60 souls on board, you've got 1.
Right.
Let's go for the greater good here. You're going to drive off the road.
Squish you.
And, you know, in cold, hard logic, it makes sense. But again, there's that part in the back of my head that says, no. I bought you. You're going to do what I want.
If you're the programmer, what do you do?
If you're the programmer, you talk to Google's legal team and you say, well, what has me covered?
Right. What's the best thing to do? And then, of course, there's the issue with autonomous vehicles of cost and the fact that it looks like, basically, like the kid car you had when you were 4 years old. It's not the most aesthetic vehicle you've ever seen.
But it's not supposed to be. Do you remember when the Prius first came out and people thought, that is the ugliest car I've ever seen? And then it started being, that's the ugliest car I've ever seen, but it's kind of geeky, I like it. I think you could go for the same thing here. These are supposed to be different. These are not sports cars. These are not your weekend drivers. This is a workmobile.
And you know what's going to push this forward a little bit? I was just reading from the National Highway Transport Safety Board, the statistic based on observation that's at any given daylight moment in the United States, right now, 660,000 people are driving while looking at an electronic device. 660,000 people are not looking at the road. They're not looking at you. They're looking at their phone. That's a terrifying thought. So I think that's what's going to push this forward is distracted driving and the risks.
I think we all understand that we're going to make a switch at some point. These are going to become reality. The only question is, do we do it quickly? Do we do it begrudgingly? Do we do it with our pitchforks out saying, no, you can't take this away from me? But this will be safer. This will be better.
You know what, Bill Handel, I was talking about this on KFI on Friday, said, you know what, fewer traffic jams, because traffic jams are caused by humans.
And you know what, fewer insurance premiums.
Yeah, lower premiums. Yeah. All right, I have a feeling that there's mail for us, but I won't know until the mailbag magically appears to my left.
Subtle. Real subtle.
Was the BattleBot guy driving? I just want to know.
Oh, I think there's something for me in there, actually.
Is there?
Oh, hello
well, look at that. It's a little kitten. This is Venom.
This
Eddie
is
Venom. The Venom.
This is Venom. Going to mess up your data center.
So, as some people know, that Lisa and I got 2 cats from, it's from Anthony Nielsen, one of our editors, Foster's cats. They were 2 cats that would have been euthanized. This is the 3rd of the family. Yeah. And so the ASPCA in San Francisco calls a local organization called Pet Pals and says, look, these cats, we can't, they need to, their parent died, the mother died. They need to be bottle fed for the next, what, 2, 3 weeks, 7 weeks? 7 weeks. And that means every 2 hours you have to get up and give them a bottle.
You did a good thing.
And of course the ASPCA can't do that. So, well, Anthony Nielsen did a good thing. He took the cats and fostered them for 7 weeks. This is the 3rd of the 3
runt.
sisters.
I love the runt.
Oh, she's such a cutie.
She's so cute.
Right now, who's got her right now? I think Tanya
Tanya
does.
has her, but
Tanya,
we're looking
you're
for
not going to keep
a forever
her?
home.
Oh, we're looking for a forever home.
So if you need a cat, we've got a cat in need.
And we have a box we can ship her in.
We have a box.
No, she was only in there for seconds.
Seconds.
So no letters, right, Karsten? You put her in right. That's what the delay was. He was putting the cat.
We had to be loaded. We had to load the catapult.
No catapults, okay? No catapults. What? No, it's driving Lisa crazy. She's going to take the cat.
How dare you put her in?
Oh. She says you are not a fit cat owner.
I just got decatted.
All right. We got two emails. First from Mitch, and Mitch, I want to thank you for this. This really made me feel good. I read this a couple of days ago. I had to drop you an email to tell you how amazing your first 2 episodes of the new Screensavers were. I gobbled them up with glee. They seemed like they were 5 minutes long. I was shocked when my wife said, honey, you've been watching for hours now. It's now my favorite tech television show on any medium. Mitch, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And here's an interesting one that, because as we should mention, Father Robert hosts 3 shows on the TWiT network. Of course, This Week in Enterprise Tech, which is what we had you do at first, and then you started doing Know-How, which we love. You're so good at that with Bryan Burnett. And you also do Coding 101, which is all about programming, and you're doing Ruby right now.
We're doing Ruby. We're finished up our Ruby module, then we're going to be moving on to, I believe, Swift. We're going to teach people how to make iOS apps.
That's the new Apple language that people are very interested in. So here's a question from Ben. Hi, Leo and Father Robert. I'm a mature-aged student. Sounds like a nice cheese. Studying a Bachelor of IT. As part of this course, we did an intro to Python. I found this useful. He says Python 2, and I guess that's the version of Python, although 3 is the current version. I found this too useful. For instance, I'm the father of an intellectually impaired 4-year-old. I've written a program to teach her colors by showing random colors. How cool is that? I'm looking to expand my programming knowledge and learn a new language. Can you recommend one for me? Thanks. Ben, you know, I just saw a new book from the No Starch Press. They do great programming books on automating your life with Python. It's for non-programmers, but the point was, you know, there's always stuff you have to do on the computer. It's just a pain, like change a name of a bunch of files in a folder. And Python is an easy enough language that you could actually write Python scripts to do a lot of the things you want to do. It's true, Python's a very easy and fun language.
Absolutely, and the nice thing about Python is it is one of these quote-unquote programming languages for programmers. It's a lot like Ruby in the sense that when they made it, they didn't make it so it was easy for the computer to understand. They made it so that it was easy for the programmer to create it.
The only thing I don't like about Python is that white space matters.
Yes.
So most programming languages, they use a combination of braces, parentheses, semicolons to kind of say where something begins and ends. In Python, it's how many tabs you have, and that can drive people crazy. I really like Python. Yeah. Ruby doesn't have that. That's one of the languages we're using right now. But there's a whole slew of newer languages. But I think if you were going to become serious about computer programming as a profession, and this is very different from computer programming as a hobby, maybe Java. I hate to say it.
Java's a good one to learn. I'm with Steve Gibson in that I like foundational knowledge.
You're not going to recommend assembly.
I'm not going to. No, it's a bit too foundational. That's crazy foundational.
That's crazy talk.
That's cat lady foundational. But something like C++.
Wait a minute. Oh my God, the cat is in trouble with the police. It's okay. He's got a meeting out of his hand. It's all right.
But if you start with a language like C, it also means that you could do things like program.
I love
at
C.
Mega and Arduino because that's that language.
That's absolutely right. And really, JavaScript and Java are based on C.
Exactly.
So you're going to feel right at home. Actually, Python is very C-like.
Yeah.
And that's a good idea. Start with C.
It makes it easy to learn some of the concepts because the basic concepts are going to be the same no matter what language you're programming in. And that's what we based Coding 101 around, which is we're jumping languages so that people can see, oh, it doesn't matter what language I'm programming in, I just need the vocabulary and the concepts will stay constant.
Chat room says they should learn Rust. You know what? There's a new language born every minute.
There's always a new language.
Rust just went 1.0 this week. It's actually a very interesting language. Go, which is the language Google's promoting, is a great language for. Rust is a systems programming language. Go is more for concurrency and web programming. JavaScript's great. There's an infinite number. What I would suggest is mastering one. Python's fine. Because mastery in any language will help you then
translate it over.
It translates very simply. The language isn't that important. It's really the mastery of the fundamentals of programming that
and good programmers will use different languages in the same project. You use the language as a tool. So it's not your religion. It's, oh, well, Perl's really good for this. Python's really good for being online. Ruby is great if you want to do some sort of interactive website. And if you want to do back-end, well, we're probably going to be programming in C++, SQL. You choose the language based on what you want it to do. You don't try to make one language do everything.
You ever hear of Peter Norvig? He works at Google now as one of the most brilliant programmers of all time. Google Peter Norvig, N-O-R-V-I-G, and he wrote a great blog post, which is now, I think, 10 years old. Learn to program in 10 years. I think it's 10 years, maybe it's 21 years. But it's a great article about what you need to do to become a proficient programmer. And it's language independent, it's very right on, and man, you couldn't get a better source than Peter Norvig. I enjoy you so much. Father Robert, you're a mensch, if you forgive me going a little cross-cultural on you. But you're really the greatest. You look good in that shirt. I think you should, next Mass, maybe try that out. See what the bishop says. We love doing this show, and we thank you so much. We'd love to have you on the show. You can email us, newscreensavers@twit.tv. We'd like to hear your feedback, but we'd also like to get more questions. And no more nice questions. You can send them, and I'll forward them to the staff, but we're not going to read any more praise. We want some
hammer us.
Hammer us. Give us the hard ones. And we will see you every Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 UTC. That's when we do it live and, of course, after the fact on demand. twit.tv/NSS or subscribe, because this is a show you don't want to miss. Robert, Thank you so much.
Thanks,
You'll be
Dan.
back.
I'll be back.
You're in house.
I live here.
We're gonna use you all the time. I hope you'll be back too. We'll see you next time on the new Screensavers. Bye-bye.